You know, it's pretty much everywhere, right? In our homes, coffee shops, airports, literally everywhere. It's how we work, how we watch movies, how we stay connected to, well, everything. We use it every single day. But if you ever stop to wonder how it actually works, well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive in and figure out how this invisible network that runs our modern lives really does its.
And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about, look at this number. Over 3 billion Wi-Fi-enabled devices get shipped around the world every single year. That is an absolutely staggering amount of tech, all just chatting away to each other without a single wire in sight.
So yeah, that really gets us to the big question, doesn't it? How does your phone take a video or an email or a website, turn it into, what, thin air, and then send it flying through walls, only to have it perfectly put back together on the other side? I mean, it really does feel like magic. But as you're about to see, it's all just really, really cool science.
Okay, so before we can really get into the how, we've got to be super clear on the what. Let's start with the absolute basics. What are we even talking about when we say Wi-Fi?
So, at its core, Wi-Fi is really just a rulebook. It's a standard that everyone agreed on for using radio waves to send information. Think of it like a common language. You know, just like people from different countries can use English to talk to each other, your iPhone and your smart TV can use the Wi-Fi protocol to talk to each other. Oh, and here's a fun fact for you. The name Wi-Fi, it doesn't actually stand for wireless fidelity. Nope, it was just a catchy marketing name they came up with back in 1999.
All right, so no matter how big or small a Wi-Fi network is, whether it's just in your living room or it's covering a whole city, it all really comes down to two main players. Let's get to know the essential gear that makes this whole invisible dance happen.
First up, you've got what's officially called a station. But that's really just a geeky way of saying your device. You know, your phone, your laptop, your game console, any of them. The most important part is the tiny wireless adapter tucked inside that lets it speak that Wi-Fi language.
And the second key player is the access point, which you probably just call your router. Now, if your phone is like a musician in an orchestra, the router is the conductor. It's the one managing all the wireless traffic, and, this is crucial, it's the bridge between all your wireless gadgets and the actual physical internet cable coming into your house.
So here's the key difference to remember. Your station, your phone, is really only worried about its own data, but the access point, your router, has a much bigger job. It has to coordinate the data for every single device connected to it, making sure everyone gets their fair share of the internet connection.
Okay, so we've met the players, now it's time for the main event. How does a digital file, which is just a bunch of ones and zeros on your computer, make that incredible leap into the air and become an invisible wave?
It all happens in this little four-step dance that repeats millions of times a second. So first, your data, let's say it's a photo you're uploading, is way too big to send all at once. So it gets chopped up into these tiny, manageable pieces called packets. It's kind of like sending a book through the mail, but one page at a time. Then, your phone's wireless adapter takes each one of those digital packets and turns it into a radio wave. Those waves get broadcast out, and finally, your router catches them, turns them back into the original data packets, and puts the photo back together again. And the whole thing just happens in reverse when you're downloading.
Now, these radio waves, they don't just go out randomly. They travel on specific radio frequency bands. You can kind of think of them as invisible highways in the air. And for Wi-Fi, the two main highways are the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz bands.
And this is where it gets interesting, because there's a big trade-off. The 2.4 gigahertz band can travel a longer distance and is better at getting through walls, but it's a really crowded highway. Your microwave, your Bluetooth headphones, your neighbor's router, they're all on there, which causes interference. Now, the 5 gigahertz band is like a wide-open, multi-lane superhighway. It's way faster and less crowded, perfect if you're streaming a 4K movie right next to the router. The catch? Its waves are shorter, so they don't travel as far, and they really struggle to get through solid walls.
You know, Wi-Fi has not been sitting still. Not at all. Ever since it first showed up in 1999, it's been in this constant state of evolution, with every new generation getting ridiculously faster and way more efficient.
I mean, what's really wild to see here is the explosive growth. Look at that jump from Wi-Fi 4 to Wi-Fi 5. That's more than a 10 times increase in speed. To put that in perspective, a movie that might have taken you 10 minutes to download on Wi-Fi 4, you could grab it in less than a minute on Wi-Fi 5. And now, with Wi-Fi 7, we're talking about speeds that can handle multiple 8K video streams at once. It's just incredible.
So you might be wondering, what's the secret sauce? How did it get so much faster? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is a technology called MIMO.
The best way to think about it is like this. An old router with one antenna is like trying to have one conversation in a room. But a modern router with MIMO and all its antennas, it's like having 4 or even 8 separate conversations in the same room at the exact same time without anybody getting confused. It's just a massive boost in how much you can get done at once.
Okay, but wait a second. We're sending all of this personal information, emails, passwords, bank details, flying through the air. That raises a pretty big question, right? How do we keep all of that stuff safe? And that brings us to the super important topic of security.
So, just like the speeds got better, the security has had to evolve too. You can think of these as different kinds of locks on your data. The first one, WEP, was like a cheap diary lock you could basically pick in a few minutes. Not good. So it was replaced by the much stronger WPA and then WPA2, which has been the gold standard for more than a decade now. And the newest one, WPA3, is basically like a high-tech bank vault. It makes it way harder for anyone to guess your password and gives you extra protection when you're using public Wi-Fi.
So, what can you do to make sure your network is as safe as it can be? Here's a quick checklist. First things first, go into your router settings and make sure you are using WPA2, or even better, WPA3 encryption. Second, and this is a big one, choose a strong, unique password. Please, not password 123. Next, try to avoid using open public Wi-Fi for anything sensitive like banking. And for an extra layer of protection on those public networks, always use a VPN. It basically creates a private encrypted tunnel for your data, keeping it safe from anyone snooping around.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Wi-Fi went from just a neat way to connect a couple of laptops in 1999 to this global force that connects billions of us. It's an invisible utility that has totally changed how we live and work. So, the only question left is, what's next? What kind of world will Wi-Fi 8 or Wi-Fi 9 make possible?